So Sean Hannity invited Yeti man Bill de Blasio on his show, and let's be honest, the whole point of Hannity doing this is to badger Bill de Blasio. So it was 45 minutes of nothing but cringiness wall to wall. But I want to show you here the part where they talk about income inequality and taxes, and this is hilarious because Hannity does nothing but whine and play the victim. Watch.
You said that money is, you talk a lot about money being in the wrong hands. Wait a minute. Are you saying the people that have money stole it?
Can I tell you the exact quote? Let's be fair.
Money or
I said there's plenty of money in this world. Oh. There's plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands.
How did it get there?
Because of federal policies that took from working people and gave it to the 1%.
Okay, so you want to take it back.
I want working people to get their fair share.
So
should anyone be working for less than $15 an hour?
So let's go. I don't like the minimum wage because
you don't think people. You described your life as a working man. I respect that. You don't think
dishes at
people
12.
should get $15 an hour in today's economy?
Because it hurts the kids that get jobs. We now have record low unemployment, youth unemployment, and if I didn't work as a kid, I would be in jail.
Wait a minute. Talk about people trying to support their family. You don't think folks who are working hard should get $15 minimum wage?
Mr. Mayor, let me go over the numbers that matter.
This is what the labor movement fought for years. Get something decent for people. You
said the following: the money's in the wrong hands, and you want to tax the hell out of people.
I do want to, and the people should go to taxthehell.com.
I know.
And they can get all the information about my tax plan, which is the most aggressive.
I have it. I want to go over with you.
Please do.
So the top 1% pay 30% of the taxes. The top 20%, the bottom 50% of American wage earners pay 1% federal income tax. 50% pays 1%, and the other 50%, the rich, who you want to take more from, they pay it all. So my question is, in your city of New York, let's go over New York, for example. All right, if the top marginal rate, I don't get the deduction any longer because of the president's tax deal.
I think that was a mistake.
I pay higher taxes.
Yeah, but the president was wrong to take away state and local deduction.
You want me to pay more, so he's making me pay more.
He was wrong to take it away. And by the way, middle-class people, working-class people paid for that action by your friend, the president.
What should the federal tax rate be for individuals? 70%.
For folks who make over $2 million income.
70%.
70%.
So that means
when you combine everything.
That means they get to keep 30%.
Yeah.
Okay, you take 70 cents out of every dollar.
Again, how long did we have in this country? For decades. Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy. That was the tax rate then.
70 cents out of every dollar. Corporations, what should they pay? What is the top marginal rate for corporations that you want?
I think right now it is way too low.
Give me a number. Give me a ballpark.
Ballpark between 40 and 50%.
Okay. No business is going to want to be in business, and they'll pass the cost on to consumers, and they'll lose jobs. Here's what we have in New York.
Problem. Wait a minute.
Whoa. I want you to know what I pay in New York, okay? Because I pay the 9% state tax. I pay the city tax. You have me at 4%, in New York. My income goes to you. And I don't even live here. I don't live in the city. By the way, just saying.
You make a good income here.
Okay. New York City has an extra 4.875 sales tax on top of that. Then if people, out of the 30% you're going to let them keep, you want to then come back later and say, well, if you saved millions, I want 1% more, 2% more, 3% more. You want another bite of the apple after they paid your 70 cents on the dollar. And one more thing. And then if you drop dead, then New York gets another 16%.
So what about
and the federal government gets 44%.
What about all the working people who created all the wealth? The guy who owns the factory, the guy who owns the company did not create the wealth. The people who did the work created the wealth.
Why do you feel you have a right?
They are not getting their fair share.
Nails on a chalkboard. See, the thing about Hannity that's annoying is that he's a lazy propagandist. He's not the kind of person who's going to bring in new people to his ideology. He's all day long, he's preach to the choir, preach to the choir, preach to the choir, to the point where he could just use really sloppy, lazy arguments that make no sense, but since he's only preaching to the choir, they eat it up anyway. So it's just really frustrating to somebody who is in the same kind of job space as Hannity is to see how bad he is at his job, but he gets rewarded for it. So let's break this down. He's whining about the tax rate for the rich. Just so you know, the tax laws are massively biased in favor of the rich and against working people. So it's not, no serious person says, boy, When are the rich going to get a break, huh? They've had it pretty rough, haven't they? Are you kidding me? Donald Trump just blew up the estate tax. Donald Trump just cut the top marginal tax rate. Donald Trump just cut the capital gains rate. Donald Trump just cut the corporate tax rate massively at a time when they're already paying a historically low percentage of the tax burden. Who's going to make up the difference there? They're going to shift it all onto you, all onto working people. In fact, under Trump's tax bill, over a 10-year period, there's a tax increase on everybody who makes $70,000 a year or less. Now, he's whining and he's bitching and he's moaning, I pay a high percentage. I pay a high percentage in taxes. Woe is me. I'm a victim. I love, from the same guys who scream about how the left has a victim complex, Sean Hannity all day long is, I'm a victim. A multi-millionaire. Yes, I'm a victim. Guy who's been on TV since the mid-1990s and gotten incredibly wealthy. I'm a victim. You know how much Sean Hannity's worth? And again, he's clearly bitching about his tax rate there. His net worth, according to Forbes, is about $220 million. His annual income, I hope you're sitting down. If you had to guess, just real quick in your own mind, what would you think his annual income is? Answer, it's more than whatever you were thinking. $36 million per year, bitch. Oh my goodness. 36 million to be the most rank, lazy, sloppy propagandist on the planet. $36 million a year. And he's whining about his tax rate. See, this is why I always said conversations about tax rates is incredibly misleading. What you should really do is talk about taxes in terms of raw numbers. So in other words, how much is Sean Hannity actually taking home per year? How much is he taking home? Okay. Let's say you have 36 million. Let's say it's more than half. That the government's taking more than half of that money. You know how much he's making per year under that scenario? About 15 million a year in take home. That's what he's taking home. 15 million a year. To get his fat face on TV every night where he acts like Republicans are right about everything, Democrats are wrong about everything, and he barely does any research. He just spews his talk radio shitty talking points. $15 million a year. How much do you make per year? How much do you make? How hard do you work compared to Sean Hannity? He's bitching about his own tax rate. By the way, Bill de Blasio does a pretty good job there because he keeps insisting on putting the conversation back to working people, and I like how at one point he's like, well, I think people should make $15 an hour, don't you? And Hannity's like, no, I don't agree with the minimum wage. Oh, really? Why is that? The kids are it's gonna hurt the kids' employment numbers or something. The majority of people who make the minimum wage are adults. So this idea of like, oh, it's just kids taking summer jobs, that's fundamentally untrue. There are plenty of people who it's their full-time job and their main source of income. And Sean Hannity says to those people, I want you to work full-time and not make enough money to survive and pay the bills. That's what Sean Hannity says. And then in the next breath, he bitches about taking home about $15 million a year. $15 million to do an hour of propaganda every night. $15 million. What a scumbag. But at least he just lays it out there. Yeah, I think if you work a full-time job, you shouldn't necessarily make enough money to survive. But I will bitch about the $15 million I take home for working a lot less than, somebody who's maybe working construction or is an accountant or whatever it is. You fill in the blank. And then the other point I wanted to make is he does incredibly misleading, an incredibly misleading fact there. He says like the top 1% pays 30% of all taxes, or the top 1% pays 40% of all taxes. I don't remember the exact number he used there. But I always found, when they say that, I always found that so incredibly misleading. Because what is he not telling you? He's not telling you how much of the money they make and how much of the money they have. So he's not telling you their income and he's not telling you their wealth. So just to put this in perspective, he's bitching about the top 1% pays 30 or 40% of all taxes. But the top 0.1% owns as much as the bottom 90%. So when he says, hey man, The bottom 50% only pays 1% in taxes. By the way, that's him bitching that the bottom 50% should pay more in taxes. That's what he's saying. So the bottom 50%, the working people, should pay more in taxes. That's what he's implying, 100%. But, Sean, they don't have any fucking money. They don't have any money. You want to know why they're paying 1%? They have nothing. They have nothing at all. And you want them to pay more and you to pay less when you're taking home $15 million a year to get your fat face on TV every night. See, this is what I mean. Lazy propagandists. He doesn't... And actually, you know what? Christopher Hitchens said it to him, of all people. It was in the early 2000s or late 90s. I don't remember. But it was a video that was pretty big on YouTube. I think they were talking about evolution and creationism, something like that. And Christopher Hitchens said, in the middle of that discussion, Sean, you give me the terrible impression of somebody who's never read the counter-arguments to your positions. And that is exactly correct. Because everything is like these lazy talking points where all it takes is just a little bit of research on the other side to go, oh, okay, so the thing that he said is not nearly as extreme as it sounds. When you hear the top 1% pays 30% or 40%, whatever it was, of the taxes, you go, oh, wow, the top 1% is paying a hefty burden of the taxes, right? But then when you learn the top 0.1% own as much wealth as the bottom 90%, you go, oh, so that's still disproportionately low. You understand? So it's lazy propagandist, man. That's what he is. And he somehow found a way to try to pretend like, as he's literally arguing that the rich need a bigger break, he's also semi-masking that as being for working people. So in the same segment, he's like, I'm against the minimum wage. Those moochers, the bottom 50%, only pay 1% in taxes. And oh my God, don't I have it so rough because I only take home $15 million or whatever the fuck it is per year. But at the same time, he's like only arguing for the rich to do better. He pretends like he's all working class or some shit. Don't be duped by this stuff, man. It's like, it's not even mildly convincing propaganda.